Welcome back everyone to part 14, which will be the continuation of the Mage enemy. And in this part, we will start creating the custom behavior tree for the Mage enemy, and we'll also add a new Teleport EQS, because right now we're using the same ranged EQS for teleporting. And we are going to add a healing functionality where the Mage enemy can spawn heal area that they can stand in and heal. So let's get started. So right now we are still using the ranged enemy tree for this Mage enemy. And we don't want that, of course. We want to create a separate behavior tree for the Mage. So to do that, let me just undo the changes we made to the ranged so we don't mess up the ranged enemy. I don't think we made any more changes. Yeah, that was it. All right, so now it's time to think about the functionality we want or the behavior we want for our Mage enemy. Now, what I want is that the Mage enemy will keep moving around the player. So just as a ranged enemy does, find a nice position around the player and keep moving there. But the attack is going to be very different. So the Mage enemy, before attacking, I want them to teleport behind the player. Because when you think about the behavior of your enemy, you want to think how you want the player to react to specific actions. To me, I want the player to be able to be disoriented by the Mage. They're hard to hit, they don't know where they are, sometimes they're here, sometimes they're there, and so on. So the teleport should always be behind the player. I don't want the Mage enemy to ever teleport somewhere next to them, because then the player knows where they are at all the time. So the teleport isn't really confusing. So I want the Mage teleport behind the player, look at the player, attack, and then teleport behind them again. And then start rotating or strafing or whatever. So now that I know what behavior I want, let's put this all into our behavior tree. So I'm going to actually start with a copy of the ranged behavior tree, and I'm going to call it BT enemy Mage. I just copied the ranged tree, by the way. Before I forget, first thing is to actually assign it to the Mage. So over here, when you click on the top root component of your enemy, no, sorry, not this one. This one will be the Mage tree. All right. So let's see what we're going to keep, what we're going to change. So we're going to keep the main states, the frozen, seeking, passive, investigating. The move to line of sight, also I'm going to keep the same. I'm not going to keep it teleport. I'm just going to keep it a normal walk or run in this case. The only difference is that here we use the attack radius. For the Mage enemy, I want them to move to the defend radius, because the defend radius is slightly larger. If you recall here in the get ideal range, defend radius is 700 while attack is 500. So I want them to move to the further radius. So we keep defend radius here. This value, by the way, doesn't matter. It's just default value if we don't supply a blackboard key. So this is going to keep the same. The evade, so let me just move this a bit here. The evade, we're actually also going to keep the same, except when evading, I want the enemy to move faster. So I'm going to change their speed to sprinting, because like I said, I want them to be hard to hit. So after they attack, I want them to be moving quite fast. And just regular movement, not teleporting. All right, this entire heal tree I'm going to delete. So we're going to be healing a completely different way. I'm just going to call this heal. Yeah, we'll get to that later. Now the attack. This is where things are interesting. So like I said, I want to teleport, attack, then teleport again, and then move on to the evade. So first thing we need to do is actually add the Teleport EQS. So right now we have a teleport behavior tree task, if you recall, and I can set the location to be the point of interest. But the point of interest is assigned based on an EQS or environment query. So I can also say run EQS. And what we were doing before is using the find ideal ranged location, which is what we use here for the evade. And oh, by the way, this should also be defend radius, which is what we use for moving in line of sight or the evade. But like I said, the teleport, I wanted to always teleport behind the enemy. So we need a new EQS for that. And I'm gonna create this right now. So let's open up our EQS folder and let's copy the seeking one. Because the seeking one is a cone, I also want a cone. So let's call this EQS teleport. And to test our EQS, as always, where's our testing pawn? Where's my testing pawn? There's my testing pawn, yay. All right, so get our testing pawn here. Make it look at the player start location. And also don't forget the EQS context attack target. We need to move it to this testing thing. So remember, we make it point to the player start while in the editor, because there is no player now in the editor. And we are going to assign it the, well, not this one, sorry, search for EQS. And we're going to assign it the teleport EQS. All right, so now we can open our teleport EQS side by side with our map so we can see what's happening. All right, so if the enemy is here, what I want them to do is to teleport somewhere behind the player. So assuming this is the player, this is the enemy, then they should choose a point here. So I'm going to keep the cone. Now the cone is really important because I'm generating a cone only in front of me. That means that points behind me or behind the enemy are not valid points, which is what we want for a teleport. I don't want the enemy to ever teleport behind them. So I'm going to keep the cone as is, but this path cost I'm going to change to be path exists. I only need to check if path exists. And the trace I'm going to change to be a see bool match here. So this means requires hit. Actually, I want the opposite. I require no hit. That means all the places where I have line of sight on the player. So this means requires no hit. One also thing I want to do, one interesting thing, is that right now we're doing a line trace. That means if I'm standing somewhere here, a line can pass. So if just a line from the enemy to the player passes, then we consider it to be a valid point. But this narrow place might not be enough for my projectile spell to pass through. So I want to make sure that the enemy never puts themselves in a tight spot. To do that, I can simply replace the line trace with a sphere trace. Since the sphere is much larger, it will hit a larger area. And since we require no hit, that means that if I do a sphere trace of extent maybe like 40, I'm going to cancel out some of the narrow corners, somewhere like this. That means that the enemy will never teleport to a place that's less than 40 units wide, or they don't have at least 40 units of visibility to the player. Now, I'm assuming that the radius of the projectile is about 40. I think that's about right. So it depends on your case. You might want it bigger or smaller. But yeah, for now, this is fine. All right, so next we want to add a distance test. So I'm going to right click, add a distance. So I want it to be as far away as possible from the player, but within reason. So not to exceed my attack radius, right? So let's see how we can do that. Let's say I'm standing somewhere here. Now I want the distance to the attack target. It's very important. And I want to filter and score, or just score. If we just score, or if we just filter, no, filter and score. Okay, let's keep both. So let's say the max value here is going to be 500. So as you can see, I'm already choosing points that are furthest away are the higher points. So this 3, 3, 2.89, so these are the higher points. They're no more than 500 units away from the player, but also we're not discarding anything too close to the player. So I also want to discard anything that's maybe 200 units around the player, maybe even 250. Yeah, something like that. Great. Now, just so you're aware, right now I plugged this value in 500 as a static value, but we actually want it to be the attack radius. So what I can do is go to data binding and say query params, and then change the name of this variable to something like just attack radius. And this will allow us to set this value from the EQS when we run it, from the behavior tree. So whatever the attack radius is, we're gonna use that. But for just for testing, I'm gonna keep it as a static value so we see it in our editor. Do we need anything else? Actually, this is not... We do need something else. Because right now you see this 0.3, this has the highest value. Even though it's not behind the enemy, behind the player. But it has the highest value because it's the furthest away from the player. So we need another test to make sure that it's the furthest away from the player and also the furthest away from myself. So I'm going to add another test, a distance test, and this time around the querier. And I'm going to just score, and I'm going to prefer greater. Right, so now all these points are of lower score than these ones. So now everything furthest away from me and furthest away from the player is higher score. That will ensure that I'm always behind the player. Do I need anything else? Nope. I think that's it. Oh, and let's not forget to put this back to our query params. Attack radius. All right. And as always, when we are done testing the EQS, we plug back this and we move our testing pawn away so that the enemy doesn't see it and start attacking it. Great. So let's now see how we can do this. So if I go run EQS and say teleport, it's immediately going to create this query config array for me and ask me what the value of attack radius should be. And I'm just going to go to Blackboard key and say attack radius. And I wanted to choose the single best item always, and I wanted to store it in the point of interest. Great. So, and then teleport to the point of interest. So if we do all of that and then wait and then copy this, paste it here. So then run the EQS again, then teleport again. All right, just cleaning this up a bit. That looks like the functionality that we want. I'll make some slight changes, but let me show you how this looks like first. All right, so enemy goes behind me, as you can see, but they didn't attack. Now they attacked and teleported behind me again. Then they start strafing, go behind me, attack, teleport behind me again. Nice. Now, you'll see some strange behavior that the enemy sometimes teleports but doesn't attack. And the reason for that is right now the cooldown is on the attack. That means that if the ranged attack is on cooldown, this teleport will still happen regardless, because it's not the because it's the first thing in the sequence. So the attack sequence runs because there's nothing to prevent it from running. It does a teleport, and then if it is on cooldown, then it doesn't do anything, and this whole sequence fails. But I've already teleported. And I don't want that. I don't want to teleport if the attack is on cooldown. And notice that this is not the only reason the ranged attack can fail. It can also fail if I don't have enough tokens. Let's say this attack needs 2 tokens instead of 1. Now the the mage enemy will always be just teleporting and never attacking. And I don't want that to happen. I only want the mage enemy to teleport if they can attack. So, to do that, we are going to have to move the teleport inside the ranged attack. So if you recall, the ranged attack also had the set focus inside, and it had the attack start and all that. So we're going to create a separate attack for the mage. We have one for the ranged, we have one for the melee, which sets the movement speed and does all that, because this is the entire attack sequence. So for the mage, the attack sequence is teleport and then attack. So let's copy this one. Let's copy the ranged one, paste it here, and call it BTT Mage Attack. And let's use the Mage Attack here. So I'm going to delete the teleport. I can keep the EQS. It doesn't matter if the EQS runs continuously, because nothing will happen. It's just the EQS running, and even if this is on cooldown, it doesn't hurt to run the EQS. It's not that expensive. If you want, you can move the EQS inside the Mage Attack, but then it's just going to be a big mess to do the EQS and the teleport and the attack. Alright, so Mage Attack, and I'm gonna move my cooldown here and replace it this one. Okay. And tokens needed 1, attack target, attack target. Great. So let's open this up and see what we're gonna do. So we also want to add the teleport here before the attack. And to do that, we also need the teleport location. So let's add a variable, teleport location, which is a Blackboard key selector, and click the eye icon, very important. Now that we did that, we can go here and why don't I see it yet? Did I not compile? Nope, I didn't compile. Now that I compiled, the teleport location is here. That will be the point of interest. All right, let me close this. Okay, so first, if I can attack, great, I will set focus. Do I want to set focus before teleporting? Yeah, it doesn't matter, I can keep focus when teleporting. But before attacking here, I want to first cast to my mage enemy, since this is a mage attack. So I'm gonna cast to the mage enemy. Then I don't need this cast actually, since I'm casting to the mage. Yeah, and let me move all of this and call, then call teleport. And the location will be the get Blackboard value as vector for our teleport location. And we don't want to attack until the teleport has ended, right? So that also means we want to bind. So I'm gonna move all of this down here a bit. I should clean up these lines. Assign on teleport end. So attack on teleport end, I'm gonna call it that. So once the teleport ends, I am going to first unbind. This is very important. Unbind from event from teleport end, this event, unbind it, and then proceed to attack. This is the attack target. Ooh. Actually, why am I doing this? I can just copy this. This is the attack target, and I don't need this anymore. Okay, so we do attack start. If we can attack, we set focus, cast to a mage, teleport. On teleport end, we unbind, do the attack, and on attack end, we finish execution. All right, that looks like a proper attack sequence. So back in our mage here, run the EQS, do the attack sequence, wait, run the EQS again, and teleport back. Perfect. Now let's look at it. So teleport, attack, teleport again, and start strafing. Very nice. Teleport, attack, teleport, and move away. Awesome. All right. Now I want to move on to the heal functionality. So for the heal functionality, I want to use the AoE heal that I showed in the AoE tutorial that I made a few months ago. And it looks something like this. The enemy can spawn an area around themselves where they can heal if they're standing inside it, and I can interrupt them with an attack and prevent them from healing further. Now, I've already migrated the AoE heal from that tutorial. If you want to download the full project files for that tutorial as well, everything is free to download in my Patreon and link down in the description. And for now, I'm just going to really quickly go over what it is. So this AoE heal spawns this heal aura that is from the FX Variety Pack. I'll also leave a link to the FX Variety Pack down in the description. And it just looks something like this. So this is going to be our heal AoE, and if the enemy is standing in it, they'll be healing. And other than that, this AoE heal is a child of AoE base over time, and this takes a spawn interval, duration, and that's it actually. Spawn interval is how many times, how often the tick should happen, the heal tick, and duration is how long it should last. Now for the heal animation itself, we're going to create a nice montage out of, no, not animation, sorry, in our characters, mage, animations, where is the heal, yeah. So this animation, I'm going to create a montage out of it to be the heal. But I want it to be more like the enemy is standing in this pose for a while and then healing. So it should start like this, but then keep in this pose for a few seconds. And let me show you how I can do that with this same animation. So right click here, go to create anim montage, and we're going to call this the montage mage heal. And let's move it in our montages folder. Whoop. And open it up. So right now I want to start my animation at this point when I boom, do my arms like this. So let's say this is at 1.6. Yeah. So I'm going to click on the animation and say start time 1.6. And then I want it to end at here, for example. This is 0.4. Yeah, let's say 0.4. So 1.6 plus 0.4, end time is 2. Now this is of course a very short animation, but this is only the first part. Now I'm going to go over here in the asset browser and find the heal animation again and plop it on the timeline. So now I'm doing the heal again, but this one, I'm starting it at time 2, where the first one ends. So the first one ended at 2, this one starts at 2. So it will look like a, oh, did I start at 2? No, I said it ends at 2, sorry. This one starts at 2. So if I play, it looks like a continuous animation. But the difference here is I'm going to make this one last very long while in this pose. So I'm just going to make it end around here. Yeah, this is what 2, which is 0.4 plus 0.6. So yeah, around 2.6. Let's say ends around maybe 2.5 even. Okay, actually less, 2.4. And I'm going to make this one very slow. So the play rate will be 0.25. See, so now it stays in there for a while. I actually want it to end even closer, 2.3, and to be even slower, 0.15. Nice. Okay, so the whole montage is now about 2.4 seconds, and the enemy stays healing for that duration. If I slow it down even more, 0.1, then the montage will be 3.5 seconds. Great, that's my montage. So let's go back to our BP enemy in our event graph. Let's create a new event, custom event, and call it heal. We can't call it heal, we already have a heal, and that's just the one from the damage system. So this one is going to be called heal over time. And we're going to be using the heal from the damage system. I'm going to show you how. So first thing we want to do is play the montage, right? And skeletal mesh, skeletal mesh, heal. All right. And what we want to do is, there is no notifies, just as soon as the montage starts, we want to spawn actor from class, and that's going to be the AoE heal. And the spawn interval will say every 1 second. Yeah, so the animation lasts 3 seconds. Let's say every 1 second we heal 5%. So then we heal a total of 15%. The duration doesn't matter now because I'm actually, when the montage ends, I'm going to just destroy this actor. So let's get a reference to it. Let's call it the heal AoE. And we're going to create another custom event here, call it heal over time ended. And the first thing we're going to do is get this heal AoE, right click, convert to validated get. First check that it is valid, and if it is, then destroy actor. And we will be calling this heal ended on interrupt. So because we want this to be interrupted, and we're also going to call it on complete. So if the enemy takes damage while healing, then it destroys this heal AoE. All right, this AoE has a function called trigger. Now we can call the trigger function to start it, or we can just say trigger on begin play. So I'm just going to click this trigger on begin play. Both do the same thing. The spawn transform, this is also going to be an interesting one. So I'm going to right click on it and split the pin structure. For now, I'm just going to say get actor location. This is going to need some modification, and I'm going to show you why. But for now, let's just say get actor location. And then we want to pull off of this and say assign on AoE overlap actor. So from the AoE tutorial, this is the event that's dispatched when the heal ticks, or when the AoE overlaps with the actor. And this happens every 1 second. So that means that this is when the heal should be happening. So on heal tick, let's call it something like that. What we want to do is call the heal function. And this function is from, you can use the BPI damageable or the BP enemy base. Both are the same since we are in a child of the enemy base. And what it takes is the amount to heal. Now this is an absolute amount. I want to pass a percentage. So to get a percentage, I'm going to get my BPC damage system, get my max health variable, and I'm going to multiply that by 0.05. That means 5%. All right, so now I'm healing 5% and I'm only healing myself. But actually, this is not right, because then if this AoE overlaps with any actor, I heal myself. I don't want to do that. I only want to heal myself if I'm overlapping with myself. That means I want to check here if this actor is equal to self. So only if I'm overlapping with myself, then heal myself. Now I can also just plug in the target here and say heal. But this means that anyone standing in the area will be healed, even if the player or another enemy. Depends on what you want. Maybe you want this AoE heal to heal anyone inside. For me, I only want it to heal the person that spawned it. So this is why this check will check if the actor that's inside is the one that spawned it, and only then heal. What else? I think that's about... Oh, and again, here. So this is an interesting one. If I don't do an unbind here, that means that every time we spawn the AoE, we're creating a new bind, and we're going to be healing multiple times. So it's also important here to unbind from AoE overlap actor. Let me move all of these a bit here. Alrighty. Let's see, do we need anything else for the heal, or the heal ended? So the heal end will destroy this, and yeah, let's test it out. Of course, we need a task, behavior tree task for this. So I'm gonna go here, new task, off of BTT blueprint base, put it in the tasks folder, call it BTT Mage heal. Override the event receive execute AI and have finish execute. By now you must be pros at doing this. And I'm going to cast to my mage because only the mage has this heal over time function. And I'm gonna call heal over time. Oh, we need to know when the heal ended to be able to finish execution. So as always, we need a event dispatcher on heal over time end. And we are gonna call it here. Then back in our task, we will assign on heal over time end and just finish on heal end. We can call it that. Success true, don't forget that. And if cast failed, just for safety, in case you call this on a non-mage enemy, then finish with success false. What else do we need? I don't think we need anything. Now you can have the heal percentage being passed through here. Right now I have it static, so it's always 5%. But you can have this as a parameter to the event and pass it from your behavior tree as you wish. For me, I'm just going to have it static as 5%. And then here I'm going to call the heal, mage heal. And I'm going to add a cooldown. So add decorator cooldown so that the enemy doesn't keep healing over and over again until they're back to 100%. So if they heal once, they can't heal again for 5 seconds. All right, and let's do the threshold. I don't know, let's keep it 30%. Now to test this out, I want actually the enemy to start with health less than 30%, just for testing purposes. So in my construction script here, I'm gonna pull off of my damage system and set health to be, I don't know, 20 or something. So then they should enter this branch immediately. Oh, and this is also important. So the abort. Right now I have it as abort both. That means that as soon as your health goes below 30%, drop everything you're doing and heal. I actually don't want that. I don't want it to drop everything it's doing and heal. I want it to continue what it's doing, and once it's done, heal. Because you could be in the middle of an attack, and then your health drops below 30%, you stop the attack and heal. Might not be the best idea. It's good to keep attacking and then heal once you're done. And the same, once you have reached the health that you want, so above 30%, stop healing and continue doing... No, I don't want that. I want it to keep healing until the montage is finished. So abort will be none. That means that don't abort anything lower priority, because these are the only options, lower priority or both, and self, of course. So don't abort lower priority and don't abort self. Oh, and also maybe let's clear the focus, because we don't want to be moving and staring at the player while we're healing. All right, let's test this out. Are you ready? All right. You are not healing. You should be healing, not attacking me. Well, you are healing, but not at the time we expect. Let's see why. So health should start below 30%. We're already starting with health below 30%. Why aren't you healing then? You're doing the attack and then healing. But notice that the heal is also spawning in the center of the enemy, at the root. This is what I meant when I said that we'll have to adjust this location. But let's see first why it's not healing as soon as it starts. Oh, of course, because we have a cooldown, and the cooldown starts counting. So let me show you. If I have the behavior tree running here, and I play, then this is on cooldown. You see 4 seconds, 4 seconds. Now it's, yeah, it's counting, and now the cooldown's over, and then it enters. Let me show you again. Cooldown is counting, and now it's over. Now she can heal. All right, so kind of working as expected. Unfortunately, there is no way to tell the cooldown to start not on cooldown. It automatically starts by being on cooldown, but that's fine because the enemy won't start anyway with health less than 30%. But now let's fix the spawning in the center. So right now the location is the root bone, or the root of the mesh, which is like somewhere here in the center. We want it to always spawn on the ground below the enemy. So we need to get the ground location. To do that, we need to do a line trace. So I'm going to move all of this. And we're going to do a line trace by channel. And this line trace will start from the actor location. Let's unplug this, move this away a bit. So we'll start from the actor location, and then we want to do a line trace vertically downwards until we hit something, which is ideally the floor. So we're going to get this, multiply it by, let's say, -1000 on the z-axis. That means do a line trace of length 1000 below the actor location. And that will be our end. And of course, actors to ignore, make array, ignore self, so that we don't hit ourself. Oh, actually, we don't need to do this because we have ignore self here. All right, so there's a possibility of having a hit or maybe not having a hit. So if we do have a hit, that means there's a ground underneath us or something underneath us. Then what we will do is break the hit result, get the location of the impact. So either location or impact point, both are going to be roughly the same. And that will be our spawn location. But if we don't hit something, then what do we do? Well, then let's call teleport end. and maybe also stop anim montage. So stop playing the montage. Oh, we don't need teleport end, we just need to stop montage, because then stop montage will call the interrupt and interrupt will call the heal end. I meant heal end actually, sorry, not teleport end. But that's a rare case where we don't hit something below us. That means that the enemy is trying to heal while they're in the air very high up for some reason. But it's always good to handle these edge cases as well. All right. Now let's see what it looks like. So the enemy is going to move. Cooldown is 5 seconds. 5 seconds later, starts to heal. Boom. Excellent. Now everything is happening other than the enemy actually healing. So let's see what's up with that. So we check if the actor is equal to self, then heal. Is this not being called? I'm going to add a breakpoint here. I'm going to actually decrease this cooldown. Where is it? To be 2 seconds to make testing a bit easier. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. Huh. So this is being called with the BPC damage system max health. It's being called with a value of 5. Maybe 5% is just low enough. Okay, so let me play again. 1 second later. Huh. It was only called once. Oh, okay. Yeah, I shouldn't unbind now. I should unbind once this is actually finished. Okay. Yeah, so that is the problem. I'm unbinding too early. Let me put this back. Let me remove this breakpoint. Okay, so let's see it now. So now, heal 5%, 5%, 5%, 5%. Okay, so that's a lot better. We can make it a bit higher, maybe even 7% or 8%, 7.5, whatever. So this, you'll notice it better. Heal, 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 heal. So now it's working correctly. I can unbind here. So what I can do is, before destroying this actor, I can say unbind AoE all events from AoE overlap actor. Actually, I don't think it matters if we destroy this actor. Yeah, it doesn't matter, because if we heal again, we're going to spawn a new actor and bind to that new actor. So we actually don't have to unbind in this case, because we're destroying the actor when we're done with it. Yeah, that checks out. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Now the enemy that we have, let's start them with full health. Again, in our construction script, let's delete this. So enemy starting with full health. Teleports, attacks us, teleports again, attack, teleport, nice. And then if I get their health below 30%, they will heal. Awesome. And if I'm standing here, I don't heal. Great. And that is our mage enemy. All right, sorry, before we end, there's a couple of bugs real quick that we should fix before we leave. The first one is on the heal over time ended. We call the event dispatcher at the very end. So if the heal AoE is not valid for any reason, it will never be called. So it's good to always call this first before doing anything else. So I'm gonna call this first. Very simple, but will save us a lot of headache in the future. And the other bug I noticed is that if the enemy is currently attacking me, and I move out of line of sight, they continue to attack while trying to chase me. So this is like this sliding behavior. The reason this is happening is because we copied from the enemy range tree this can see target with its observer aborts. So since the ranged enemy didn't have an attack sequence, it can be aborted at any time. But now I don't want to abort something that I'm doing if I can. So if I'm in the middle of an attack and I suddenly lose sight of the player, I don't want to abort. So I'm going to change this again to none. That way, if I'm in the middle of an attack, come on, attack me, and I move out of line of sight, then the enemy continues with their attack normally. So this seems like more normal behavior, and also will remove any sliding jankiness. Alright, and that was it. As always, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this part and found it useful. If you want to download the full project files with the mesh, the animations, all of the source code and everything, then link for my Patreon down in the description, as well as right here. And if you found this useful, please consider giving a thumbs up and subscribing to my channel. I'll be continuing this series further, and eventually it will be ending on a boss fight AI. Might not be the end, but I got a lot of requests to make a boss fight, so I'm going to be working my way towards that. So if this is something that sounds interesting for you, please consider subscribing. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.